A tattoo is a wound that never fully heals, and that is exactly why it lasts. Sit with that for a second, because it runs against everything else your skin does. Almost every mark you have ever put on your body has faded. A scrape, a bruise, a pen drawing on the back of your hand, all gone within days or weeks, because your skin is a machine built to renew itself and erase the past. And yet a tattoo, made of nothing but ink pushed into that same self-cleaning skin, can still be sharp and dark 50 years later, sitting on your arm long after every cell that was there on the day you got it has died and been replaced. To understand how ink defeats a surface designed to shed everything, you have to follow that ink down into your skin and watch your own immune system make a mistake that lasts a lifetime. Your skin has layers, and the top one is the whole problem a tattoo has to solve. The outer layer, the epidermis, is only a fraction of a millimeter thick, and it lives in a state of constant replacement. Its cells are pushed up from below, die, flatten into the surface you can actually see, and flake away. So the entire outer layer turns over roughly every month. Put ink only into the epidermis, and it would be gone within weeks, writing those dead cells right off your body. That is why a tattoo can never be a surface drawing. It has to go deeper, past the shedding layer, into the one beneath it, the dermis. That single requirement is the reason a tattoo needle exists, and the reason getting a tattoo hurts. A tattoo machine drives a cluster of fine needles up and down at an astonishing speed, somewhere between 50 and 3,000 punctures a minute, each one piercing through the shedding epidermis and depositing a tiny drop of ink about 1.5 to 2 millimeters down into the stable dermis. The dermis does not slough off the way the surface does. It is also where your nerve endings and small blood vessels live, which is why the process is painful and why a fresh tattoo weeps a little blood and clear fluid. Your artist is, quite literally, injecting thousands of controlled micro wounds and filling each one with pigment. And this is the moment your body sits up and takes notice, because from your immune system's point of view, something alarming has just happened. Thousands of foreign particles have appeared deep inside your skin. Your body has no category for tattoo ink, so it treats the ink the way it treats any intruder that gets past the surface. It calls in its cleanup crew, a type of white blood cell called a macrophage, whose entire job is to swallow and dispose of foreign material. The macrophages converge on the ink and engulf the pigment particles, exactly as they would engulf bacteria, fully intending to break them down and haul them away. You can actually watch the front end of this reaction with your own eyes. A brand new tattoo is red, swollen, and sore for several days. And that inflammation is not just the damage from the needle. It is your immune system flooding the area, dilating the blood vessels, and pouring in cells to deal with the intrusion. The soreness of a fresh tattoo is, in a real sense, the visible surface of the battle being fought underneath, where your body is scrambling to clear out an invader it has completely misidentified. Except they cannot. Tattoo ink particles are chemically stubborn and simply too large and too inert for a macrophage to digest. So the immune cell ends up in a strange stalemate. It has swallowed the ink, but it can neither destroy it nor easily carry it off. So it just stays there, parked in the dermis, holding the pigment inside itself, right where the needle put it. Multiply that by millions of cells, each one stuffed with trapped ink and frozen in place. Then step back, and those loaded cells together form the picture you see on the skin. Your tattoo is not really ink sitting loose under the surface. It is ink locked inside a standing army of your own immune cells. Here is the part that makes a tattoo genuinely permanent, and it was only worked out clearly in the last several years. You might assume the ink stays put simply because those macrophages sit still forever. But cells do not live forever. The macrophage holding a speck of your ink will eventually age and die, just like any other cell in your body. So why doesn't the tattoo quietly leave when its cells do? In 2018, researchers studying tattooed mice watched the process closely and found something surprisingly elegant. When an ink-filled macrophage dies, it releases its cargo of pigment back into the surrounding dermis. But that freed ink gets almost no chance to drift away, because a fresh, newly arrived macrophage immediately swallows it right back up, in the very same spot. The scientists described it as a cycle of capture, release, and recapture. That relay is the real secret of permanence. A tattoo is not one frozen deposit of ink that happens to survive. It is a handoff with no finish line. The same pigment passed from a dying cell to a newborn one, again and again, held steady in place even as the individual cells doing the holding are constantly born and constantly dying. Your skin renews, your cells turn over, your body replaces itself around the picture, and the tattoo persists precisely because your immune system keeps recapturing the very thing it can never actually remove. The ink outlives the cells that carry it. The macrophages are not entirely alone in this either. Some of the pigment is held by the dermis's resident structural cells, the fibroblasts, which sit in place for a very long time and quietly cradle their share of the ink. Between the ever-renewing immune cells and these long-lived structural cells, the picture has more than one thing anchoring it down. Which raises an obvious question. If the ink is trapped that faithfully, why do old tattoos fade and blur? Two things slowly wear them down over the years. The first is sunlight. Ultraviolet rays carry enough energy to break pigment molecules apart, splitting the larger particles into smaller fragments, which is why an unprotected tattoo grays, softens, and loses its crisp edges over time. This is also why solid black ink tends to hold longest, while lighter and colored inks fade first. The paler pigments are broken down by UV more easily, so the blues, greens, and reds surrender before the black outline does. The second reason tattoos fade is that a little pigment does slowly escape. Whenever particles get broken down small enough, a macrophage can finally carry them out of the skin and drain them into the lymphatic system. This is not a theory. Doctors have found tattoo pigment sitting in people's lymph nodes, sometimes tinting them the color of the ink, discovered by accident during scans or surgery. So a tattoo is not perfectly still after all. It is very slowly leaking away, one tiny fragment at a time, into the body's drainage network. That same escape route is exactly what tattoo removal hijacks. A laser removal machine fires ultra-short, intense pulses of light that the ink absorbs, and that shatter the trapped particles into pieces far smaller than the needle ever made them. Suddenly, those fragments are small enough for the macrophages to do the job they failed at the first time: grab the debris and carry it off to the lymph nodes to be cleared. That is why removal takes many sessions spread over months. You are not scrubbing ink off the skin. You are breaking it into pieces small enough for your own immune system to finally finish the cleanup it started on the day you got the tattoo. So a tattoo is a beautiful accident of biology. You can wear one for life because the skin's top layer sheds too fast to hold a mark, so the ink gets planted deeper in the dermis, where your immune system mistakes it for an enemy, swallows it, fails to digest it, and then, cell after cell, generation after generation, spends the rest of your life holding on to the exact thing it was trying to get rid of. The permanence you paid the artist for is really your own body, stubbornly guarding a wound it was never able to close. Your body, explained. This is Bodyling.